It is July 15th, 2025. My name's Matt. Welcome to Team Bitcoin, covering the latest Bitcoin news. Let's start out with CNBC. The Bitcoin essentially fell below 117,000 today after it hit an all-time high yesterday of 123. And this happened after the Trump crypto bills are blocked before the House vote. So essentially, there's three bills going up. The expectation was to have these signed by the president on Friday to essentially build the framework for cryptocurrencies, stable coins, and regulatory agencies to govern all this. Now, I've pulled this up, just Google search, showing about what these bills are all about. But essentially, it's providing some uncertainty with the House Republicans and our path forward as far as the holdouts in cryptocurrency in general. So, a small pullback to 117, that seems very warranted after we've just had a massive run. And there's going to be consolidation. There's other things going on. So I think at the end of the day, these things are going to get signed, whether it's Friday or next week. The president has a way of strong arming people into what he wants them to do. And this is all part of the negotiation phase. So we have to keep a close eye on it, though. Next up, I keep talking about the next company that buys crypto and the next that are adding it to their balance sheets. This one, by far, is one of the most significant. So Cantor Fitzgerald, $4 billion Bitcoin Treasury deal. Essentially, wow, this is crazy. I've highlighted what I feel is important. Cantor Fitzgerald advanced what may become one of the largest Bitcoin Treasury moves to date. It's a $4 billion special purpose acquisition company called a SPAC, combining Blockstream capital. Essentially, they are going to buy up a ton of Bitcoin, leveraging the SPAC infrastructure to execute a generational bet on Bitcoin at scale. So this, $4 billion, that is massive. Pretty impressive. Now, this is on a much smaller scale. This company out of Canada called LQWD increases Bitcoin holdings to about 238. Now, when you go back to this is significant. These are small fry, but what I'm really trying to highlight is, look, big and small companies are buying this up, and it's a supply and demand issue. And as these announcements come out, there's a lot of companies that are on the sideline looking at this, and they're waiting through those board meetings and executive votes whether or not to do something similar, and that's what I just keep covering. Now, this one's interesting to me because I was unaware of this company. I hadn't heard of it. I went back and kind of looked at what they were doing. LQWD holds Bitcoin, fulfilling two essential roles: serving as a foundational asset and leveraging its unmatched technology to provide core infrastructure for trustless peer-to-peer and internet-powered transactions over the Lightning Network. So what I envision, and I don't know how the Canadian rules are structured, but they're going to hold Bitcoin and then run it across the Lightning Network and then obtain the fees as people transact in Bitcoin. Now, I'll have to go back and look at the Canadian regulations and if they're more advanced that way as far as the United States for allowing this type of payment-to-payment peerless transactions. But they'll essentially collect all those fees, and I see that being, for this smaller company, insanely profitable. So something to keep a close eye out on. I'm kind of looking to see, hey, is this publicly traded? It might be something I want to actually look at and purchase as far as a stock. But I know this is a Crypto Bitcoin channel. I am a heavy stock and option trader as well. Now, earlier last week, I covered that there was some massive transfers of Bitcoin from Satoshi-Era original holders that have been holding these hoards forever, and there was some moves. Well, it turns out one of these whales sold 9,000 Bitcoin, which is the equivalent of 1 billion, somewhere around the high. Now, here's what I would say about that. I had Bitcoin loaded on my PC when it was less than $1. Now, unfortunately, I didn't actually mine it, but whoever's selling this, I would say, is at least my age, if not older. And at a certain point, you want something tangible that you can hold. Or maybe they're buying a company, or maybe they're buying a continent. I don't know what they're doing with that $1 billion. I'm sure they have a reason. Could actually be succession if somebody passes away. Doesn't really matter what they're doing with that money. But the idea is, when you go back and look at this, $4 billion for this one company, $1 billion, yeah, it's something to keep an eye on. But the demand from the ETFs and individual investors and all the companies buying it up are easily swallowing a $1 billion transaction. So now if whale after whale started selling, that could create potentially a little bit of panic. But we haven't gotten to that point yet. And most predictions I'm seeing over the long haul are significantly higher than what it's trading at today. So let's see what Bitcoin's doing right now. Wow, it's actually recovering. 17,841 per coin. I'd say that's a good sign. Now, I don't know if we've washed out the short sellers yet. I know my personal account trading IBIT, I had quite a few calls, both covered and uncovered. And although I was buying a lot of that back, it wasn't at actual losses. And I'm getting to a point where I don't feel comfortable doing that anymore. It can be profitable, but I'm leaning more towards holding and then occasionally selling covered calls over IBIT with absolutely no uncovered calls, because I don't want to get caught in a short squeeze. If this had run to say 200,000 in like a week or two, I'd have been in a very panically crying mode, and you'd see that because I'm very transparent on how I'm actually trading Bitcoin. So there's two schools of thought, buy it, hodl it, forget about it. I don't see anything wrong with that if you were a long-term holder, because over the long term, it has proven that it has outpaced just about everything. Actually, far surpassing everything as far as assets. But I don't know, I'm an option trader. It's part of my DNA. I've been doing it so long. I like to sell puts against IBIT. I like to sell calls. I like to actually hold it. I have some Bitcoin on another exchange. I'm doing it a lot of different ways. I'm hedging my bets, but at the end of the day, it might just be a lot of work for nothing. I might have been better off just to buy it and forget about it and live my life and allow it to, when it has a massive run, to profit for that. Now, finally, I'm going to conclude. We're going to a concert tonight. I'll film some of that. I'll throw it into one of my next videos, but it's more about just making a profit on Bitcoin. It's, in my mind, what it allows you to do with time. As I get older, the most valuable thing in my mind is my time. And am I able to spend time with my family? Am I able to do the things I want to do? Am I able to go to a concert tonight or go on a cruise? Or am I able to help, say, my father and his care needs, or my kids? Our kids, I should say. What does that look like if you are financially sound? And I've just seen over so long the time frame of the erosion of the dollar and what that's doing to the average American citizen, and it makes me want to cry, because in that system it is built, I hate to say, in the very long term, past my lifetime, to fail unless we come back and back our currency by something that is sound money. Now, it's hard for me as a non-financial advisor to give financial advice, right? I'm merely sharing with you is that how I'm trading Bitcoin, how I'm owning Bitcoin. I also have Ethereum, I have XRP, and a couple others. I'm hedging my bet, but I'm also in real estate. I'm also in options. I'm also trading other things. NVIDIA was a very large holding for me. I've since scaled back a bit, but it's up 70 some odd percent in, I don't know, 8 weeks to a couple months because of the Trump tariff scare. Very quality company. So there's opportunities everywhere, and I'm just merely sharing those with you. So we'll see if Bitcoin can retain the level it's at right now. I think there's a psychological barrier. We crossed past 100 and it's like, oh my gosh, we've never been here. And so there was sellers. And then we kind of found a trading range and churned around in that. But then we had the rip up, which I believe was short covering. and now we've busted through the 120 range. Now we have another psychological point at 120, and so we'll probably churn around in there until we take the next leg up. My personal take, I don't believe we are done with the rally. I don't think we're going to have an extreme tank, but let's see how this legislation falls this week with the cryptocurrency, right? We want to know the framework, the rules, the process, because it's hard to thrive in an environment that's literally the Wild West. And when I first started looking at Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, that's what it was. And we're turning into something that's not that at all, and that is super bullish long-term, in my opinion, for Bitcoin. With that, peace out, have a good night, happy holding.